Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. This woman had the audacity to come onto their property and steal from them, then complain that they got sick from the fruit they stole. Considering her angry reaction, she may try and cut the trees down herself. Keep your guard up, OP. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. I'm not going to take the trees down. I, 46-year-old male, have an apple tree in my backyard and a peach tree in my front yard. I'm currently living in my parents' house with my wife, 46-year-old female. My mother and father planted them. They passed away and we decided to plant more. I only trim them when the branches get too big. They're mostly for the wildlife in the nearby woods. The deer love to come and eat the fruit. I don't spray them with any pesticides as they aren't for consumption. I work during the week and don't get home until the evening. I haven't had any issues with the neighbors as the house is mostly in the countryside and surrounded by woods. A few weeks ago, I had a new neighbor move into the house next door. I haven't had any interaction with them until now. I was not aware that the neighbor was coming over and grabbing fruit from the peach tree. I get home yesterday and neighbor was standing on my porch. She comes storming over to my car and says the peaches made my son and I sick. I told her that the fruit was mostly for decoration and for the wildlife. She starts screaming at me and threatens to call the cops unless I take the trees down. I told her no, I'm not going to take the trees down. And our second story. Entitled mom screams obscenities at my kid in church lot, gets booted by priest. This story happened yesterday and was pieced together by what my daughter and her friend told me and by what I overheard on the phone and from the priest when I called him later for clarification. The story? There's a Catholic school and church near our home with a small fenced-in playground. There are some swings, a slide, and a jungle gym that's normally used by younger students during the year, but that the school leaves open after hours and during the summer for neighborhood children to play in. My daughter, 12, and her friend rode there on their bikes to play for a while. After being there for about half an hour, alone, another group of children, two brothers and a sister, each around 10 years old or so, arrived and began to demand that my daughter and her friend leave. They were harassing and threatening them. It seemed obvious they wanted the playground to themselves. My daughter's not a pushover. She's cute and small for her age, but is a spitfire when she's angry. She immediately defended herself and her friend, telling the other children that they could either all play at the same time or else the other children could walk right back out the gate. The EKs did not like this response and began to curse and throw wood chips at my daughter and her friend. As expected, she marched toward them and yelled that she would physically defend herself and throw them out by force if they didn't stop. At this point, the three entitled ones left but returned within minutes with their enraged she-beast of a mother. This grown woman began screaming in my daughter's face a plethora of colorful and threatening statements and demanded she give her my phone number so she could call to tell me what a hooligan my child was and demand I make her leave the play area. My daughter did then get on her bike to get away from the insane woman, but EM grabbed the front wheel to prevent her escape. Intimidated by the crazy adult's rage, my daughter gave her my phone number. The call. The phone rings, and before I finish saying hello, yes, is this my daughter's mother? Yes, who's this? Well, this is Karen, and I'll have you know that your child was threatening my kids. Me, very confused because I don't know this woman or what's happening, but I'm very aware that my daughter only acts out when she feels threatened. She what? Who are you, and what happened? It's Karen. My kids were just trying to play when your daughter started throwing things at them and threatening to beat them up. As she's screeching, I can hear my daughter in the background telling the woman she's lying and that her kids are lying and to leave her and her friends alone. The woman starts yelling and swearing at her and my blood begins to boil. At this point, I've had more than enough and try to get the woman's attention. Excuse me. Excuse me, Karen? Just back off and sit tight and I'll send her father over there to sort this out. Yes, I was going to pawn this mess off on him because I had chemo today and have absolutely no patience or energy to deal with this fiasco as I feel like crap. I didn't think she'd heard me at first, but then I hear her suddenly say, "Father, are you the father?" followed by a man's voice. I assume that my husband had gone over to bring the kids home and happened upon this ridiculous scene. Everything was muffled thereafter except the words, "Call the police." So I hung up immediately and sent him a text asking him what was going on and asking if he needed me to help him deal with this insane situation. It turns out he was still at home. The father she was talking about was actually the priest who'd gone out to investigate the ruckus. My daughter told me, and the priest later confirmed, that he told the woman she is absolutely not allowed to speak to children that way, and most certainly not on the church's private property. She apparently flipped her lid and began screaming at him that my daughter was a vile little B-word who threatened her kids. She demanded he kick her and her friend out so her kids could play in peace. The priest informed her that he'd seen the whole incident from the church office and was preparing to come out and intervene when he saw her verbally assaulting my daughter. He told her to take her children and leave. The unhinged EM bellowed that her kids could play wherever they wanted and that if he didn't mind his own business, turn around and go right back into the church, she was going to call the police. At that point, the priest gently told my daughter and her friend that he would deal with this and that they should go home. They took the opportunity to escape while he stayed to deal with EM. He later told me that it took him actually calling the police to make the woman and her kids leave. After that, he locked the gate so they wouldn't be able to return again today. I guess from now on, my daughter won't be able to go there without adult supervision, if nothing else but for her own safety from those horrible people. I only hope he doesn't decide to keep the playground closed off permanently. Why do EMs and EKs ruin things for everyone? So she threatened to call the police because she was trespassing on private property. Karen logic. And our next story. No, I don't work here anymore. So a little backstory. I worked at Walmart for 3 months. I quit because of crappy management. That was about a month ago. I'm decently recognizable because I have hair that's dyed rainbow. Even though I quit, I live quite close to this Walmart, so it's still where I shop most of the time, and my partner still works there as an auto tech, so their discount card comes in handy. Anyways, my partner and I were shopping for a few things a few nights ago, and we split up to get done faster. The almond milk I'd had at home had spoiled, and I needed some for the sauce for dinner, and I didn't want the noodles I'd already made to get cold. So there I am, arms full of parsley, garlic, and onions, heading back quickly to the dairy section at the back of the store. I almost make it to the cooler with the almond milk when I hear it from behind me. "Excuse me?" I immediately cringed at the tone that this woman used, as I'd worked many a customer service job and knew what a Karen sounded like from the get-go. I ignored her. However, as I didn't have any time to chat and took another step towards the cooler, "Hey, I'm talking to you, don't be rude," she said in that awful voice that I'm sure all of you have heard at one point or another. I sighed and turned and see a woman somewhere in her late 30s or early 40s staring at me with her arms crossed. "The customer service is awful in this place," she snaps at me. I opened my mouth to try and tell her that I didn't work there, but she was already talking. "Where are the magazines?" she demanded. "I don't know, maybe ask an employee," I said, a little anxious because I needed to grab my milk and go. She scoffed. "I've seen you working before. I know you work here. I don't care if you're off the clock. You can tell me where the damn magazines are." "No, I can't," I say, getting annoyed. "I don't work here. I quit a month ago, and I only work the front end. I don't know where anything in the store is." It was true, I really didn't know where specific items were, save for the grocery side because I shopped there. "What a load of horse crap," she said. "I've seen you working. You're just lazy. Go get your manager. I want to talk to them." I shook my head in disbelief and opened the cooler and grabbed my milk. I went to walk away and she screamed full volume at me, "I'm a paying customer and I expect an employee to help when I ask for it." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Then find an employee. I don't work here anymore." She yelled again about bad customer service and how she was going to report me to my manager as I was walking away. I flipped her off over my shoulder and continued walking. Thankfully, she didn't follow. I checked out and left. My partner laughed when I told them what happened on the ride home. I only feel bad because the only good manager was working that night, and she probably got an earful from that awful lady. Sorry, Bonnie. These people are so worried about making a scene that they don't listen to a single word you say. And our last story. They have a pool on our property. My husband and I just bought a foreclosed house. Therefore, there was no survey done and nobody mentioned what I'm about to explain. Pretty much, we were talking to our neighbor to the right of us, and she said that the neighbors behind them have a pool on our property. So my husband and I looked it up on our county website, and sure enough, the entire pool is on our property. It's an above-ground pool. I thought this was crazy that we weren't told this, so I texted my realtor. Apparently, she didn't know and acted like the county website probably wasn't accurate. Told us to get our land surveyed. We were planning to anyways. We wanted to redo our fence and include all of our property in it. That's how the conversation started with our neighbor. She also said that if they had an easement, we couldn't make them remove it. I'm concerned because if, God forbid, someone were to get injured or die in the pool, we'd get sued. They have small children. It's a big mess. We can't really afford a lawyer right now, but if needed, we will get one, located in the U.S. Edit. They also have a shed on our property. The whole thing isn't on there, but I heard it's supposed to be 5 feet from our property line. I guess it wouldn't matter if they had the easement for that too. Edit 2. We proved our property lines and built a fence. Now our property is free of their stuff. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.